My mother called me broken, a wolf who would never shift, a daughter born to disgrace the bloodline. In our pack, weakness was a crime, and I was living proof of it. Every whispered insult, every averted gaze carved the truth deeper. I was unwanted, unclaimed, invisible. She was wrong about one thing. Someone did want me. 3 someones, dangerous, powerful, and absolutely forbidden. Wolves who saw something in me no one else ever dared to look for. Wolves who didn't flinch at my flaws, but hungered for them. They don't want to save me. They want to claim me. And in doing so, they're about to shatter everything I was taught about broken daughters. Welcome to the channel. If you're watching from France, the UK, Poland, Africa, or anywhere in the world, drop your location in the comments. We might shout you out next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories. The fog tasted like shame. Maribel Crowne stood at the Massachusetts border with a duffel bag that wouldn't zip and a jacket that had stopped fitting 3 months ago. The Berkshire pines rose behind her like witnesses, silent and unmoved. Ahead, the boundary line cut through wet grass and stone markers older than her entire life. She could smell the difference between territories. Home smelled like old money and judgment. The neutral ground smelled like nothing at all. Her mother stood 10 feet away, spine straight, hands folded. Helena Crowne looked like she dressed for a business meeting, not an execution. Tailored coat, heels that didn't belong on soft earth, face smooth and empty. "You understand what this is," Helena said, not a question, a closing statement. Maribel's throat burned, but she refused to cry. Crying meant weakness, and weakness was why she was here in the first place. She'd spent 24 years trying to be smaller, quieter, less of a problem. It hadn't worked. Her body refused to cooperate. Her wolf refused to wake, and her mother had finally run out of patience. "I understand," Maribel said. "If you've ever wondered what it feels like to be traded like damaged goods, keep listening, because this story doesn't start with love. It starts with disposal." Helena's eyes flickered just once toward the pack members watching from a distance. Witnesses, they'd been summoned on purpose. This wasn't private, it was a statement. "The Hawthorne Triplets have agreed to take you," Helena continued, her voice flat and professional. "Consider it restitution for the embarrassment you've caused this family." Restitution, the word landed like a slap. Maribel's hands curled into fists at her sides, nails cutting into her palms. She wanted to scream. She wanted to ask what crime she'd committed that deserved this, but she already knew the answer. Existing wrong was crime enough. "You'll leave now," Helena said. She stepped back, creating distance as if Maribel carried something contagious. "They'll arrive shortly." Maribel looked at her mother's face, searching for anything human. Regret, hesitation, even anger would have been something, but Helena offered nothing. She'd perfected the art of emotional removal years ago, probably before Maribel was born. "Is that it?" Maribel asked quietly. "What else is there?" Everything, Maribel thought. An apology, an explanation. A single moment where her mother looked at her like a daughter instead of a liability. But those things lived in fantasies, not in the cold reality of pack politics and family reputation. Helena turned and walked back toward Crown territory without another word. The pack members followed. Within minutes, Maribel stood alone at the border, surrounded by fog and the weight of abandonment so complete it felt physical. She pressed a hand to her stomach, the soft flesh her mother hated, and tried to breathe through the tightness in her chest. This was planned long before tonight. She understood that now. Every cold dinner, every missed birthday, every introduction where Helena pretended Maribel didn't exist. Her mother had been building toward this moment for years. The duffel bag slipped from Maribel's shoulder and hit the ground. She didn't pick it up. What was the point? Everything she owned fit in one bag and none of it mattered where she was going. Headlights cut through the fog. Marble's heart kicked against her ribs. She straightened, forcing her spine rigid even though her legs trembled. The lights grew brighter, closer, until she could make out the shapes. Black SUVs, 3 of them, moving in formation like a military convoy. The engines were too quiet for vehicles that size, purring instead of growling. They stopped 20 feet away. For a moment, nothing happened. The fog swirled around the vehicles, and Marble wondered if this was some kind of test. If she was supposed to approach first, prove her submission before they'd even met. Her wolf was silent, useless as always. But her human instinct screamed at her to run. She didn't. The first door opened. A man stepped out and Marble's breath caught. He was tall, broad across the shoulders, with dark hair and eyes that reflected the headlights like polished stone. He moved with the kind of control that came from absolute confidence, each step deliberate and measured. An alpha. She could feel it in the air, the way her body wanted to respond even though her wolf stayed dormant. The second door opened. Another man, nearly identical in build but radiating something sharper. His jaw was tight, eyes scanning the area like he expected an ambush. Where the first man was calm, this one was tension wrapped in skin. The third door opened last. The man who emerged was quieter, his presence somehow louder for it. He didn't scan the area like his brother. He looked directly at Marble, and she felt pinned under the weight of his attention. Triplets. She'd heard the rumors about the Hawthorne brothers, identical alphas, who ruled Northern California with ruthless efficiency. Men who didn't negotiate, didn't compromise, didn't lose. Looking at them now, Marble believed every word. The first brother, the calm one, stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice was deep and carried across the fog like a physical thing. Maribel Crowne. She nodded, not trusting her voice. His eyes moved over her, assessing. Not with judgment, she realized, with something else. Something that made her skin prickle with awareness. "I'm Dominic Hawthorne," he said. He gestured to his brothers. "This is Marcus and Julian." Marcus, the tense one, crossed his arms over his chest. "We were told you were pack property being transferred as debt payment." Marble flinched. Hearing it said out loud made it worse somehow. Julian, the quiet one, tilted his head. "That's not what I'm sensing." "What are you sensing?" Dominic asked, though his eyes never left Marble. "Not property," Julian said softly. "Something else entirely." The air between them shifted. Marble felt it like electricity on her skin. The 3 brothers exchanged a look, some wordless communication she couldn't interpret. Marcus's expression darkened. "Helena Crowne is a fool." "Agreed," Dominic said. He took another step toward Marble, and she had to resist the urge to step back. "Tell me, Marble, do you know why your mother sent you to us?" "Because I'm broken," she whispered before she could stop herself. "Because I'm wolfless and worthless, and she's tired of the embarrassment." The words hung in the fog like an accusation. Dominic's jaw tightened. Marcus let out a low growl that made Marble's pulse spike. And Julian looked at her like she just confirmed something devastating. "Broken," Dominic repeated, his voice gone dangerously soft. "Is that what she told you?" Marble nodded. "And you believed her?" "Why wouldn't I?" The bitterness leaked through despite her best efforts. "I'm 24 and I've never shifted. I can't feel the pack bonds. I'm..." "Ours," Marcus interrupted. Marble's words died in her throat. "What?" "You're our mate," Julian said, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. The ground seemed to tilt beneath Marble's feet. That's not possible. I'm wolfless. I can't." "You're not wolfless," Dominic said. He closed the distance between them in 2 strides, and suddenly he was right there, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. "You've been suppressed. There's a difference. Suppressed, Marble's voice came out strangled. We'll explain everything, Dominic said. His hand lifted, and for a moment she thought he might touch her face. Instead, he reached past her and picked up her duffel bag. But first, we're getting you out of this God-forsaken fog. Marcus moved to her other side. Can you walk, or do you need one of us to carry you? I can walk, Marble said automatically, even though her legs felt like water. Julian appeared at her back, a solid presence that made her feel simultaneously trapped and protected. We've got you, he said quietly. Whatever Helena Crowne told you about yourself, it was a lie, all of it. Marble looked between the three men, these powerful alphas who were supposed. The estate rose from the California hills like something out of a fever dream. Marble pressed her forehead against the SUV window, watching as wrought iron gates swung open to reveal a sprawling compound that looked more fortress than home. Stone and timber construction, floor-to-ceiling windows that reflected the setting sun like watching eyes, and grounds so vast she couldn't see where they ended. This wasn't a house, it was a kingdom. Her stomach twisted. 3 alphas lived here. 3 men who claimed she was their mate, which was impossible because mates could sense each other, and she felt nothing but terror. Her wolf remained silent, locked away somewhere deep inside where it had always been. Helena's voice echoed in her head, broken, worthless embarrassment. The SUVs pulled into a circular drive. Dominic cut the engine and turned to look at her. Marble. She flinched at the sound of her name. His expression softened. You're safe here. Whatever you're imagining, whatever your mother told you would happen, it won't. How do you know what she told me? The words came out sharper than intended. Marcus, from the driver's seat of the second vehicle, appeared at her door. Because we know Helena Crowne's reputation, she's been selling the story of her defective daughter for years. His jaw tightened. We know exactly what poison she fed you. Julian opened her door, offering his hand. Marble stared at it like it might burn her. After a long moment she took it. His fingers were warm, steady, and when he helped her down from the vehicle, he didn't let go immediately. "We're not going to hurt you," he said quietly. "But we are going to have words with your former alpha about what constitutes acceptable treatment of pack members." Former alpha, the words should have brought relief. Instead, they made her feel untethered, floating in space with nothing to hold onto. The front doors opened, and a woman emerged, older, with silver streaking through dark hair and eyes that assessed Marble with professional efficiency. "Welcome home, alphas." Her gaze landed on Marble. "And you must be the young lady we've been preparing for." Preparing, Marble's voice cracked. "This is Sierra," Dominic said. "She manages the household. Sierra, this is Marble. She'll need a suite prepared." "Already done, Alpha." Sierra smiled, and it reached her eyes. "Though I'll admit, when you called and said you'd found your mate, I thought you were joking." The word mate hung in the air like a challenge. Marble wanted to deny it, to explain that there had been some terrible mistake, but the 3 brothers stood around her like pillars, immovable and certain. "I don't understand," Marble whispered. "How can I be anyone's mate when I can't even shift?" Dominic's hand settled on the small of her back, gentle but firm. "Come inside. We'll explain everything. But first you need to see that you're not a prisoner here." The interior was even more overwhelming than the exterior. Vaulted ceilings, exposed beams, furniture that looked expensive and comfortable in equal measure. Photographs lined the walls, the 3 brothers at various ages, always together, always watching each other's backs. Marble's chest ached with a longing so sharp it stole her breath. This was what family looked like. This was what she'd never had. "Your suite is on the 3rd floor," Sierra said, already moving toward a sweeping staircase. Private bathroom, sitting room, balcony with mountain views. The Alpha's rooms are on the same floor, but yours has a lock if you want privacy. If she wanted privacy, as if that were her choice to make. They climbed the stairs, and Marble's legs trembled with exhaustion. The adrenaline that had carried her through the border exchange was crashing, leaving her hollow and shaking. When they reached the 3rd floor, Sarah opened a door to reveal a room that was larger than the entire space Marble had occupied in her mother's house. Cream walls, a bed that could fit 4 people, curtains that pooled on hardwood floors. French doors opened onto a balcony where the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in shades of amber and rose. "This can't be for me," Marble said. "It is," Marcus said from behind her. "Everything in this house is yours now. You're not a guest, you're home." Home, the word felt foreign in her mouth. She'd never had a home, just a space she occupied until Helena decided she'd taken up too much room. Julian moved past her, setting her duffel bag on a chair near the window. "Rest, we'll bring dinner up in an hour." "I can eat in the kitchen," Marble said quickly. "I don't need." "You need rest," Dominic interrupted, but his tone was gentle. "And we need you to understand something, Marble. You're not here to serve us." Marble didn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the massive bed, still wearing her jacket and shoes, watching the door like it might burst open at any moment. Her duffel bag remained unpacked on the chair. Unpacking felt like acceptance, and she wasn't ready to accept anything yet. At some point, exhaustion won. She woke to soft morning light streaming through the French doors and the smell of coffee. A tray sat on the bedside table, fresh fruit, toast, scrambled eggs, and a carafe of coffee that was still warm. A note in clean handwriting read, "Eat, we'll wait." Her stomach growled despite her anxiety. She picked at the fruit, then devoured everything else like someone who hadn't eaten in days. Maybe she hadn't. Time felt slippery, unreliable. A knock on the door made her freeze. "Marble," Dominic's voice, careful and measured. "May I come in?" She should say no. She should tell him to leave her alone until she could think straight. Instead, she heard herself say, "Okay." The door opened and Dominic stepped inside. He'd changed from yesterday's dark clothes into jeans, and a Henley that made him look less like an alpha warlord, and more like someone who might smile occasionally. He took in the uneaten toast, her rumpled jacket, the way she sat perched on the edge of the bed like a bird ready to fly. "You didn't sleep much," he observed. "How do you know?" "Because I didn't either." He moved to the sitting area, deliberately putting distance between them. "I was too busy trying to figure out how to make you understand that this isn't a trap." Marble's hands twisted in her lap. "Everything's a trap. That's what my mother taught me." "Your mother," Dominic said, and something dangerous flickered in his eyes, "taught you a lot of things that were lies designed to keep you small and controllable. I need you to understand something, Marble. This is my territory, my pack, my law, and under my law you are not property. You're not a debt repaid or a burden transferred. You are my mate, and that means you are protected, valued, and free to make your own choices." If the words landed like blows, Marble's throat tightened. "I don't know how to do that." "Make choices." She nodded, Dominic's expression softened. "Then we'll teach you, starting now." He stood, holding out his hand. "I want to show you something. Will you come with me? And before you answer, know that no is a complete sentence. If you say no, I'll leave and we'll try again later. You have all the power here, Marble. I need you to believe that." If it was a test, she realized. He was giving her the chance to refuse him to see if she'd take it. Her mother had never given her that option. Every choice had been made for her, every decision handed down like a prison sentence. She looked at his outstretched hand, took a breath. "Okay." His smile was small but genuine. Thank you. He led her through the house, down hallways lined with art and photographs, past rooms that spoke of lives lived fully and without apology. They descended to the ground floor and out through a side door into gardens that stretched toward distant tree lines. This land has been in my family for 3 generations, Dominic said as they walked. When my father died, he left it to all 3 of us equally. Marcus handles security, Julian manages pack relations, I handle everything else. He glanced at her. It's a lot of responsibility, sometimes it's overwhelming. But we do it because we believe in something better than the old ways. What old ways? The ones your mother practices. Pack hierarchy based on strength and fear. The idea that some wolves are worth more than others. That mates are possessions instead of partners. They reached a pergola covered in climbing roses and Dominic gestured to a bench. Sit with me. Marble sat, her heart hammering. This close she could smell him, pine and something wilder, something that made her skin prickle with awareness even though her wolf stayed silent. I know you don't feel the mate bond, Dominic said. I know you think that means this is all a mistake. But Marble, the bond doesn't work if one partner has been suppressed the way you have. Your wolf is there, I can sense her. She's just been locked down so long she doesn't know how to surface. How, the word came out broken. How could someone suppress a wolf? His jaw tightened. Magic, old magic, the kind that requires consent from a blood relative. Usually a parent. The world tilted. My mother did this to me. We think so. We won't know for sure until we can examine you properly, but the signs are all there. Dominic's hand covered hers and the touch sent heat racing up her arm. This is why I need you to understand my law, Marble. Here you're not broken, you're not worthless, you're not the problem. Helena Crowne is the problem, and we're going to fix what she did to you. Tears burned behind Marble's eyes. Why would you care about some random wolf? Because you're not random. His thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. You're ours. The nightmare came on the 3rd night. Marble was back at the border, but this time Helena wasn't alone. The pack members who'd watched her exile closed in, their eyes glowing in the dark, mouths twisted with disgust. Broken, worthless. Should have drowned you at birth. She tried to run, but her legs wouldn't move. Tried to scream, but no sound came out. The fog pressed in from all sides, suffocating, and she could feel something chasing her, something with teeth and hunger and no mercy. Hands grabbed her shoulders. She thrashed, fighting against the grip, and suddenly she was awake, gasping, tears streaming down her face. Easy, you're safe, you're here. The voice was rough, unfamiliar. Marble's eyes focused in the dim light. Marcus knelt beside her bed, hands raised like he was approaching a spooked animal. His dark hair was mussed, and he wore only sleep pants and a t-shirt that showed the definition of his arms. I heard you, he said quietly. From my room, you were crying. Shame burned through her. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. Don't, the word came out sharp. Marcus's expression softened when she flinched. Don't apologize for having nightmares about the trauma your mother inflicted on you. That's not how this works. Marble pulled the blankets up to her chin, suddenly aware of how vulnerable she was, alone in the dark with an alpha she barely knew. You should go back to bed. Should I? He tilted his head, studying her. Or should I stay until you fall back asleep so the nightmares don't come back? Why would you do that? Marcus settled onto the floor beside her bed, back against the wall, long legs stretched out in front of him. Because you're my mate and my mate is suffering. That's unacceptable. I'm not, she stopped. They'd had this argument already. Dominic had explained about the suppression, the dormant bond, the way her wolf had been locked away. But knowing it intellectually didn't make it feel real. You don't believe it yet, Marcus said. I get that. Julian says we need to give you time, let you come to it on your own. Dominic thinks we should prove it through actions. He smiled, and it transformed his face from intimidating to almost boyish. I'm the impatient one. I want to find Helena Crowne and make her explain exactly what she did to you and why. She did it because I deserved it. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Marcus's eyes flashed gold, Wolf rising to the surface. Say that again. Marble's breath caught. You think you deserve to be mutilated, to have your wolf ripped away from you, to be treated like garbage by the woman who was supposed to protect you. His voice was low, controlled, but she could hear the fury underneath. Is that what you actually believe, Marble? I don't know what I believe anymore. The admission hung between them. Marcus's shoulders relaxed slightly. Okay, that's fair, that's honest. He leaned his head back against the wall. Can I tell you what I believe? She nodded. I believe Helena Crowne is a power-hungry narcissist who saw her daughter as competition instead of family. I believe she suppressed your wolf because you were probably stronger than her, and she couldn't handle that. I believe she spent 24 years convincing you that you were the problem so you'd never question her authority. His eyes found hers in the darkness. And I believe that once we break that suppression, you're going to be magnificent. Marble's chest ached. You don't know that. I know you survived 24 years of psychological torture and still have enough fight left to argue with me. I know you walked across that border with your head up even though you were terrified. I know my wolf recognizes yours even though she's buried deep. He paused. That's enough for me. Why are you really here, Marcus? Because you had a nightmare, and I couldn't stand listening to you cry. The simple honesty of it broke something loose in her chest. Marble's eyes burned with fresh tears. I don't know how to do this, how to accept that you're not, that this isn't. The punishment, a trap, another way for someone to hurt you. Marcus's smile was sad. Yeah, I figured, that's okay. You don't have to trust us yet, just don't shut us out completely. What if I can't be what you need me to be? What if you already are? He stood, towering over the bed. Get some sleep, Marble. I'll be right outside your door if the nightmares come back. You don't have to. You can't keep her locked in that house forever, Julian said over breakfast. Marble froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. They were eating in the sunroom, a glass-enclosed space that overlooked the gardens, and she'd been trying to make herself as small and invisible as possible while the three brothers discussed pack business. Dominic frowned. She's not locked anywhere, she's free to go wherever she wants. Is she? Julian's eyes found Marble. When's the last time you left the estate, Marble? I've only been here a week. A week spent entirely within these walls. That's not freedom, that's just a prettier cage. He pushed back from the table. Come on, we're going out. Panic flared in her chest. Out where? Wherever you want, town, forest, beach, your choice. His smile was different from his brother's. Where Dominic's was measured and Marcus's was rare, Julian's came easily, lighting up his whole face. I'm told I'm the fun brother. Let me prove it. Marcus snorted. You're told that by yourself. Still counts. Julian stood, offering Marble his hand. What do you say? Trust me for a few hours. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse. Leaving the estate meant exposure, vulnerability, the possibility of running into wolves who would see exactly what she was, nothing. But Julian's hand stayed extended, patient, and something in his eyes made her want to try. Okay, she whispered. 20 minutes later, they were in Julian's truck, a beat-up Ford that seemed completely at odds with the luxury SUVs, heading down a winding mountain road. Julian drove with easy confidence, one hand on the wheel, the other drumming against his thigh to music that poured from worn speakers. "Where are we going?" Marble asked. "I told you, wherever you want." He glanced at her. "But since you probably don't know what you want, I'm taking executive privilege and choosing for you. There's a place I think you'll like." The place turned out to be a small clearing beside a creek, accessible only by a hiking trail that Julian navigated like he'd walked it 1,000 times. Water rushed over smooth stones, and sunlight filtered through tree branches to paint patterns on the forest floor. "This is beautiful," Marble breathed. Julian was already unpacking a backpack she hadn't noticed him grab. "Found it when we first moved here. Dominic was busy establishing territory, Marcus was building security protocols, and I was." He paused. "I was trying to figure out how 3 alphas were supposed to exist in one pack without killing each other." "How did you manage it?" "Realized we are stronger together than apart. Realized that traditional pack structure is bullshit designed to keep certain wolves in power." He spread a blanket on a flat rock. "Realized that sometimes the family you choose is better than the one you're born into." The words hit too close. Marble looked away. "My mother would say that's blasphemy." "Your mother would say a lot of things that are wrong." Julian patted the space beside him. "Sit. Let me guess. Helena drilled pack hierarchy into you from birth. Alpha, beta, omega, everyone in their place." Marble sat, tucking her knees to her chest. "She said wolves who didn't know their place were dangerous. Chaos waiting to happen." She was describing herself. Julian pulled out sandwiches, fruit, bottles of water. "True chaos comes from rigid hierarchies that don't account for individual strengths. Your mother kept you small because she needed you beneath her to feel powerful." "How do you know so much about her?" "Because I make it my business to know about wolves who abuse their pack members." His expression darkened. "I'm the one who handles pack relations, remember? I hear stories." Helena Crowne's name comes up more than you'd think, and never in a good context. Marble picked at the sandwich he handed her. If she's so terrible, why hasn't anyone stopped her? "Because she's careful. Powerful connections, old money, a reputation for being ruthless that keeps other packs from interfering." Julian's jaw tightened. "But she made a mistake when she let you go. She gave us access to her greatest weakness." "What weaknesses?" "You," he said it simply, like it was obvious. "You're proof of what she did. Once we break the suppression and you shift, every pack in the region will know she mutilated her own daughter to maintain control. That's unforgivable, even by old-world standards." Marble's stomach churned. "And then what? She'll come after me, after us." "Let her try." Julian's smile was all teeth. "I'd enjoy that conversation." They ate in comfortable silence, listening to the creek and the wind through the trees. Marble felt something loosening in her chest, some knot of tension she'd carried for so long she'd forgotten it was there. "Can I ask you something?" She said quietly. "Anything." "Why aren't you scared? All 3 of you. You act like having me here is this great thing, but what if I can never shift?" "What?" "If the suppression is permanent, what if I'm just broken forever?" Julian set down his water bottle and turned to face her fully. "Marble, even if you never shift, even if you stay exactly as you are right now for the rest of your life, you're still our mate. The bond doesn't care if you have a wolf or not. We don't care, we just want you." "But, No buts. You think we need you to be powerful to be worth our time. You think we're only interested in what you can do for us." He shook his head. "That's Helena talking. That's the poison she fed you. We don't want you because of what you might become. We want you because of who you are right now, scared and brave and stubborn and kind even after everything you've survived. Marble's vision blurred. I don't know how to believe that. Then let me help you. Julian stood, offering his hand again. Come on, I want to show you something else. He led her along the creek to where the water pooled in a natural basin. This is where I come when Dominic's being too controlling or Marcus is too intense. This is where I remember that not everything has to be serious and heavy and world-ending. He turned to her, eyes bright. You know what I think you need, Marble. What? To play, to laugh, to remember what it feels like to just exist without worrying about consequences. Before she could respond, he kicked off his shoes. The pain started on a Tuesday. Marble woke with a burning sensation across her shoulders, like someone had pressed hot iron to her skin. She stumbled to the bathroom mirror and gasped. 3 marks, faint but visible, traced across her shoulder blades. They looked almost like claw marks, except they glowed with a soft silver light that pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She was still staring at them when someone knocked on her door. Marble, it's Sarah, may I come in? The older woman's eyes widened when she saw the marks. Oh dear, it's starting. What's starting? The mate bond. Sarah guided her to sit on the edge of the bed. Even with the suppression, your body recognizes them. It's trying to complete the bond. Panic clawed at Marble's throat. But I can't, I'm not. You are, Sarah's voice was gentle but firm. You're just scared, which is understandable. But Marble, the bond doesn't work halfway. Either you accept it or you reject it, and rejection. She trailed off. What happens if I reject it? Pains for all of you. The bond will tear itself apart, and it will hurt worse than anything you've ever experienced. Sarah's hand squeezed hers. But I don't think you want to reject them. I think you're just terrified of accepting them. The truth of it settled in her chest like a stone. Marble pressed her hands to her face. What if I'm not enough? What if they realize I'm exactly what my mother said, broken, worthless, a mistake they should have never claimed? Then they'll be fools, and I've never known those boys to be fools. Sarah stood. Get dressed, the alphas need to see this. 10 minutes later, Marble stood in Dominic's office with all 3 brothers staring at her back. The marks had grown brighter, more defined. They didn't hurt anymore, but they felt alive, pulsing with energy she didn't understand. It's the bonding mark, Dominic said, his voice tight with something Marble couldn't identify. It means her body is trying to accept us, even though her wolf is still suppressed. Marcus moved closer, not quite touching. Is it painful? Not anymore. It was when I woke up, but now it just feels warm. Julian circled to face her. Marble, this is important. Do you feel anything else? Any pull toward us? Any sense of connection? She wanted to say no. Wanted to deny the truth that had been growing in her chest for 2 weeks. But standing here with all 3 of them surrounding her, she couldn't lie. Yes, she whispered. I feel it, like there's a thread between us, like you're tugging at something inside me. The relief on their faces was palpable. Dominic's hand rose like he might touch her face, then dropped. The bond is forming. Even without your wolf, it's fighting its way through the suppression. What does that mean? It means you're stronger than Helena gave you credit for. Marcus's smile was fierce. It means the bond wants you, and it's not taking no for an answer. The warmth from the marks spread through her chest, down her arms, pooling in her stomach. Marble swayed and Julian caught her elbow. Easy, the first stages of bonding can be overwhelming. I don't know if I can do this, Marble said. What if I bond with you and I'm still broken? What if my wolf never comes back? What if? What if you stop asking, what if, and start asking, what now? Dominic moved in front of her, so close she could feel the heat of him. Marble, I need you to hear me. We don't want you in spite of your perceived flaws. We want you because you're ours. Broken, whole wolf, no wolf, none of that changes the fact that you belong with us. But 3 alphas, her voice cracked. How can I possibly be enough for 3 alphas? How can we possibly be enough for you? Julian countered. You think this is one-sided. You think we don't wake up every morning wondering if we're pushing too hard, moving too fast, asking too much. Marcus's hand settled on her shoulder, careful not to touch the marks. We're not perfect, Marble. We're controlling and intense, and we don't know how to back off even when we should. But we are trying. For you, we are trying. The marks flared brighter, and Marble felt something crack open inside her. Not her wolf that stayed dormant, but something else. Some wall she'd built around her heart to keep out the pain of constant rejection. I'm scared, she whispered. We know, Dominic's thumb brushed away a tear she didn't realize had fallen. But you don't have to be brave all at once. You can be scared and still take one step forward. You can doubt and still choose to try. What if I fail? Then we fail together. Julian's arms wrapped around her from behind, careful not to press against her back. That's what mates do. We rise together or we fall together. There's no scenario where you're alone in this. The letter arrived on a Thursday in an envelope that reeked of expensive perfume and barely concealed contempt. Sarah brought it to Marble during breakfast, her expression tight with disapproval. This came for you. Courier delivered it personally. Marble's hands shook as she opened it. Helena's handwriting was precise, cold. Marble, you will return to Crown territory by week's end, or I will be forced to reveal certain truths about your father that will destroy the Hawthorne packs standing in the territories. Don't test me, daughter. You may have found temporary sanctuary, but you still belong to me. Mother. The paper slipped from Marble's fingers. Marcus caught it before it hit the floor, his expression darkening as he read. She's bluffing. Is she? Marble's voice came out hollow. She always said there were things about my father that I didn't know, things that would ruin me if they came out. Dominic took the letter from Marcus, read it twice. What do you know about your father? Nothing. Helena refused to talk about him, said he was dead, and that was all I needed to know. Julian's jaw tightened. That's convenient. What if she's telling the truth? Marble stood pacing. What if there is something about him that could hurt you, hurt your pack? I won't be responsible for that. Marble, Dominic's voice cut through her spiral. Look at me. She did. His eyes were calm, focused. Whatever Helena thinks she knows, whatever threat she believes she has, it doesn't change anything. You're not going back there. But if she exposes, then she exposes it. He moved toward her, deliberate and controlled. We'll deal with whatever fallout comes, but we will not negotiate with blackmail, and we will not hand you over to a woman who mutilated you for her own convenience. You don't understand. She'll destroy you. Marcus laughed, sharp and humorless. She can try. We've been dealing with political maneuvering since we took over this territory. Helena Crowne isn't the first alpha to threaten us, and she won't be the last. But, no butses. Julian appeared at her other side. We're not trading you for our reputation. We're not sacrificing you to protect our standing. Whatever hit we take it together. Marble's chest ached. Why? Why would you risk everything for me? Because you're worth it, Dominic said simply. Because pack isn't just about strength and territory. It's about protecting the people who matter. And you matter, Marble. More than Helena will ever understand. The letter felt like poison. Marble wanted to tear it into pieces, burn it, erase every word. But she couldn't shake the fear that Helena was right, that there was something dark in her past, something that would corrupt everything the Hawthornes had built. "I need to know," she said quietly. "I need to know what she's holding over me." Dominic exchanged looks with his brothers. Some wordless communication passed between them. "Then we'll find out. But we do it our way, on our terms, not hers. How? We have resources, connections. We can dig into your father's history, find out what Helena thinks she knows." Marcus pulled out his phone. "I'll make some calls. If there's dirt to find, we'll find it first." 3 days of investigation revealed nothing. No records, no death certificate, no trace of anyone connected to Helena Crowne who might have been Marble's father. It was as if the man had never existed. "That's impossible," Julian said, spreading documents across Dominic's desk. "Everyone leaves a trail. Birth records, employment, something." Unless he was using an alias, Dominic mused. Or unless Helena erased him deliberately. Marble sat in the corner of the office, watching them work. The bonding marks on her shoulders had grown stronger, more defined. She could feel the connection to all 3 brothers now, a constant awareness of where they were, how they felt. It should have been comforting. Instead, it made the guilt worse. "Maybe I should just go back," she said quietly. 3 heads snapped toward her. Marcus's voice was dangerously soft. "Say that again." "If I go back, she has no leverage. She can't threaten you with information about me if I'm not here." Dominic crossed the room in 3 strides. "That's not happening. But, No," his hands framed her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Listen to me, Marble. Helena is counting on you to do exactly this. She's counting on your fear, your guilt, your belief that you're not worth fighting for. She's wrong, and you're not going back to her. Ever." The marks on her shoulders burned. Marble's breath hitched. What if she's right? What if my father was someone terrible? What if that darkness is in me too? "Then we'll deal with it," Julian said. "Together, but I don't think that's what this is about. I think Helena's bluffing and she's using your uncertainty against you." The office door burst open. Sierra stood in the doorway, face pale. "We have a problem. Helena Crowne is at the gate with a delegation. She's demanding to speak with you." Marble's world tilted. Marcus caught her elbow. "Steady." "She came here," Marble's voice shook. "She actually came." "Of course she did." Dominic's expression was carved from stone. "She's testing us, seeing if we'll fold under pressure." He turned to Sierra. "Tell her to wait. We'll meet her in the formal reception room in 20 minutes. Helena Crowne looked exactly the same. Tailored suit, perfect hair, expression of cold superiority. She sat in the Hawthorne reception room like she owned it, flanked by 2 pack members Marble vaguely recognized. "Marble." Helena's voice was ice. "You look well, I'm surprised." "What do you want?" Dominic didn't sit. None of the brothers did. They stood behind Marble like a wall, solid and immovable. Helena's eyes flickered to them, then back to Marble. "I want my daughter returned. She was given to you as restitution, not as a permanent acquisition." "I'm not a possession," Marble said. Her voice came out stronger than she expected. "Aren't you?" Helena's smile was sharp. "You've been pack property since birth, dear. First mine, now theirs. Nothing has changed." The bonding marks flared hot. Marble felt something surge through her, not her wolf but something else. Energy that poured from the 3 brothers behind her, flowing through the bond, strengthening her. "Everything has changed," Marble said. "I know what you did. I know you suppressed my wolf." For the first time, Helena's composure cracked. Just for a second, but Marble saw it. "That's a serious accusation." It's the truth, Dominic's voice cut like a blade. We have evidence, magical residue, the specific signature of blood-bound suppression. You mutilated your own daughter, Helena. That's not just unethical, it's illegal under territorial law. Helena stood. You have no proof that would hold up in Pack Court. Don't we? Julian pulled out a folder. We have testimony from 3 independent magical practitioners who examined Marble. We have historical records showing a pattern of your pack members presenting as late shifters or no shifters, statistically impossible unless someone was interfering. We have enough to bring formal charges. Then why haven't you? Helena's eyes narrowed. What do you want? We want you to leave, Marcus said flatly. We want you to rescind any claim on Marble, acknowledge her as an independent wolf under Hawthorne protection, and never contact her again. And if I refuse, then we file charges, expose what you did, and watch your carefully constructed reputation crumble. Dominic's smile was all teeth. Your choice. Helena turned to Marble. Is this what you want? To throw away your family, your heritage, for 3 alphas who will tire of you the moment they realize how broken you really are. The words should have hurt. A week ago they would have destroyed her. But standing here with the bond humming through her veins and 3 men who had proven over and over that they wanted her, Marble felt something shift. You're not my family, she said quietly. You never were. Family doesn't mutilate their children. Family doesn't trade them like property. Family doesn't spend 24 years convincing them they're worthless. Helena's face hardened. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret, Marble said, is that I didn't see you for what you were sooner. Helena moved toward the door, then paused. You asked about your father once. Do you want to know the truth? Marble's heart stuttered. What? He was nobody. A rogue alpha I allowed into my bed for breeding purposes. I chose him specifically because he had strong wolf genetics that I hoped would produce a worthy heir. Helena's smile was cruel. But you disappointed me from the start. Weak, emotional, unable to shift. I suppressed your wolf because I couldn't stand the embarrassment of having produced something so defective. The words landed like physical blows. Marble felt the brothers tense behind her, felt Marcus's fury through the bond like heat. But she also felt something else, something rising in her chest that wasn't pain or shame, it was rage. Pure, clean, burning rage. Get out, Marble heard herself say. Get out of this house. Get out of this territory. And if you ever threaten me or my mates again, I will make sure every alpha in every territory knows exactly what kind of monster you are. Helena's eyes widened. For just a moment Marble saw fear there, then the mask slipped back into place. We'll see how long their interest lasts, daughter, we'll see. She left, her pack members followed, and the moment the door closed, Marble's legs gave out. The brothers caught her before she hit the ground. They lowered her carefully to the couch, surrounding her, and she could feel their emotions through the bond, rage, protectiveness, pride. You were magnificent, Julian breathed. I was terrified, Marble admitted. Terrified and magnificent. Marcus's hand stroked her hair. You stood up to her, Marble. You took your power back. I couldn't have done it without you. Without this. She pressed her hand to her chest where the bond pulsed steady and strong. Dominic knelt in front of her. Do you feel it, the bond? She nodded. It's getting stronger. Every day it's stronger. That's because you're accepting it. Accepting us. His hand covered hers. And we need you to know something. What Helena said about your father. Doesn't matter, Marble interrupted. It doesn't matter who he was or why she chose him. That's not who I am. No, Julian agreed. You're ours, that's who you are. The marks on her shoulders blazed. Marble gasped as power flooded through her, not painful but overwhelming. It felt like the bond was expanding, deepening, pulling the four of them closer together. What's happening? The attack came at dawn. Marble woke to the sound of howls, not the friendly calls of the Hawthorne pack, but something else, something hostile. She stumbled out of bed and ran to the window. In the grey light she could see wolves at the tree line. Dozens of them circling the estate like predators. Her door crashed open. Marcus, already half-shifted, eyes glowing gold. Get to the safe room. Now. What's happening? Helena brought reinforcements. She's challenging our claim on you. He grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the hallway. We need you protected. But before they could reach the stairs, glass shattered. Wolves poured through the windows, Crown Pack members, their faces twisted with bloodlust. Marcus shifted fully, placing himself between Marble and the attackers. The fight was brutal and fast. Marcus took down 2 wolves before more appeared. Dominic and Julian emerged from their rooms, both shifted, both radiating alpha power that made the air crackle. Get her out, Dominic's voice was barely human. Julian tried to reach Marble, but Helena's wolves were everywhere. They weren't just attacking, they were targeting her specifically, trying to separate her from the brothers. Marble backed against the wall, heart hammering. She could feel the bond screaming, feel the brothers' desperation and fury. They were strong, but they were outnumbered. Helena had brought an entire pack. One of the attackers lunged. Marble threw up her hands instinctively, and something happened. Power exploded from her core, raw, untamed, silver bright. The attacking wolf yelped and crashed into the wall. The others hesitated, confusion replacing aggression. Marble stared at her hands. They were glowing with the same silver light as her bonding marks. The power coursed through her veins, foreign and familiar all at once. Impossible, someone whispered. Helena appeared in the hallway, human form, immaculate despite the chaos. She can't manifest power. She's wolfless. Clearly not, Dominic growled. He'd shifted back to human, blood streaming from a cut on his shoulder. You suppressed her wolf, Helena, but you couldn't suppress the bond, and the bond gave her something else. Marble felt it then, the truth of what she was, not broken, not defective, different. The suppression had forced her wolf so deep that instead of manifesting externally, it had turned inward, mixing with the mate bond, creating something new. Leave, Marble said. Her voice echoed with power. Leave now or I will make you. Helena's facade cracked completely. You ungrateful little. The power surged again. This time Marble controlled it. She pushed it outward in a wave that sent Helena and her wolves stumbling backward. The bonding marks on her shoulders burned like brands, and she felt the brothers' strength flowing into her, amplifying her own. You don't own me, Marble said, advancing. You never did, and you never will. Helena's eyes widened. For the first time in Marble's life, her mother looked afraid. What are you? I'm the thing you tried to destroy. I'm the daughter you couldn't break. I'm the mate of 3 alphas who will burn your territory to ash if you ever threaten me again. The power built to a crescendo, and I'm done being scared of you. She released it, not violently, not destructively, but with absolute authority. The force of it drove Helena and her pack out of the house, across the grounds, to the boundary line. When they tried to cross back, an invisible barrier stopped them. Marble had claimed the territory, not as property, as Luna. The Crown wolves retreated, dragging Helena with them. And as the sun rose fully over the Hawthorne estate, Marble stood in the ruins of the hallway, glowing with silver light, and felt her wolf finally stir. It wasn't a dramatic shift. It was gentle, natural, like something that had been sleeping finally waking up. She felt her bones begin to change, felt fur ripple across her skin, and instead of fighting it, she let go. The transformation was pure and right. When it finished, she stood on 4 legs for the first. The formal bonding ceremony took place a month later. The estate was decorated with lights and flowers, and alphas from surrounding territories came to witness something unprecedented: 3 alphas bonding with a single mate. Marble stood in a silver dress that matched her wolf's fur, bonding marks visible on her shoulders. They'd grown into intricate patterns that wrapped around her back, beautiful and permanent. Dominic, Marcus, and Julian stood with her, dressed formally but unable to hide the possessive way they watched her. The bond between them was visible now, silver threads of energy that connected the 4 of them like a constellation. The ceremony was simple. Each brother spoke vows of protection, partnership, and devotion. Marble spoke her own vows, promising strength, loyalty, and love. When they sealed the bond with the traditional bite, all 3 brothers marking her neck, the power that exploded through the estate made the watching alphas gasp. This was what a true pack bond looked like. Not dominance and submission, but balance and unity. After the ceremony, as the celebration continued around them, Marble found herself on the balcony with her 3 mates. The same balcony where she'd stood weeks ago, terrified and alone. "Are you happy?" Dominic asked quietly. Marble looked at him, then at Marcus and Julian, at the 3 men who had seen past her mother's lies, who had fought for her, who had loved her even when she couldn't love herself. "I'm home," she said simply. And she was, not in a building or a territory, but in the bond that connected her to these 3 impossible alphas, in the family she'd chosen and who had chosen her back. Helena Crowne had tried to break her. Instead, she'd freed her. Because in being cast out, Marble had found the one thing her mother could never understand. That strength came not from power over others, but from connection with them. She was no longer the wolfless daughter, the broken shame, the unwanted burden. She was Marble Hawthorne, Luna, mate, home, and she was finally completely enough. Marcus pulled her close. Julian wrapped arms around both of them. And Dominic stood watching his pack, his family, with something like wonder in his eyes. "What are you thinking?" Marble asked him. "That we spent years searching for what would complete us," Dominic said softly. "And you were worth the wait." The bonding marks glowed softly in the twilight. Below them the pack celebrated. Around them the territory thrummed with the power of their united bond. And for the first time in her entire life, Maribel Crowne, no Marble Hawthorne, believed she was